Concord went 1-0 down against Halesowen with a great strike from Gregory in the 7th minute. It was a bad start, but personally, I think our heads turned a bit and we played much better after we conceded. Do you agree?
Yeah. The first goal was dreadful, and it was a shambles. And I have a best practice and a worst practice folder on my computer, and I try and find the best practice, and that might be the best practice that we get at Premier League, international. It might be within our league, another team might be the league above, and then I try and mimic that from us. So I say that that's good, that's what we're aiming for, and then try and replace that clip with something that we do. And that first goal goes in my worst practice folder all the time, and I keep digging it out when I need to talk about something. But yeah, we pressed in the wrong area. We were all over the place. I think we had a full-back in at centre-half, a centre-half in at full-back, and we were jumping out way too early and didn't need to do it. And we spoke about that, the lad who, that was his type of goal as well. And that was even more disappointing because we knew he scored. That's the type of goal he scores, and he's been banging them in all season like that. And so it was real disappointing when we conceded that goal, and then watching it back, it was a car crash, wasn't it? But I think that was a byproduct of being early in the pre-season campaign and not having that organisation and not having that sort of structure as a team. So it was, probably unavoidable maybe and going to happen. We just got punished by that. So
it almost focused us, Dan, didn't it? I think I do remember the game quite well, but it's very nervy first 6-7 minutes, wasn't it? It's a very nervy. I don't think we secured the ball. I don't think they secured the ball either. It's a very nervy 6-7 minutes, and then massive chain of events happens, leads to the goal, and it's almost like the switch had flicked. It's like, hang on, we're in a game here. We need to go, and after that we didn't. I felt in control. At no point did I feel under threat after that. At all. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how Jack felt about it, but I was standing there, and it's almost the best thing that could have happened to us going 1 down. And you don't say that very often, not in a big cup game.
Yeah, for me, when you go down early like that, it helps because obviously you've got a lot of time to sort yourself out. But with I'd like, looking back on something Scopesy mentioned earlier, I do believe that with the way the tie was thrown at us last minute, the way that they had a lot better preparation for it than us, clearly, and I think it massively favoured them. And the fact it's a one-legged tie all of a sudden as well also favours them in the respect that anything can happen in a single game of football. Touch wood is exactly what will turn out to happen on Monday. But with those factors at play, I just thought it was very difficult for us. Just by circumstance, really, and I think the fact that we looked so sloppy at the start of that game. I think Danny's right with saying that our preparations were as best as they could have been in the time frame we had available to us, but it was a tough one. Obviously, you can have nerves at play and all sorts, really. But like Lou said as well, I think it felt a bit of a strange one because I never felt they were that threatening. So at the same time, I didn't really feel as though we was in too much trouble. I know we had to labour to make our equaliser to create that, but when it came, it only really looked like one side was going to go on to win it. I don't know. It's again a strange game it was, but I didn't feel that as nervous as I expected to. But one of the other things is I think the pressure of us being the favourite as well put me off a little bit. The way I felt psychologically, because everyone had written them off, like the bookies in particular. One of them stopped taking bets on us, as if to say that Concord have already won the tie. It's disgusting. Like I'm saying to people, they're serious. Yeah,
that was they taken odds down on Halesowen winning the competition.
Because they thought that we had already progressed, right? And I'm explaining to people that understand football, but maybe not so much intricacies of the non-league game. And I'm saying that seriously, this is as close to 50-50 as can be the way it's been chucked out. Like if it was, I agree with Danny completely. If it was played originally on the two-legged tie with our players in full flow and buzzing from the previous ties, I think we would have done a job on it, properly, which would have made me feel a lot more comfortable watching it. But that wasn't to be. Like I say, you dealt with the hand you get, and you got to play those cards, man. That's the way it works out. So
I think we looked at the game as a management team, and two things actually. We watched to quite a lot of their games, and they've played 3 at the back. They've almost gone like a 3 centre halves and 5 at the back at times, and they've been away to some big clubs and got some great results in the competition. I think they give them credit for that. They've beaten some real good teams, like National League teams as well, within their run, and there's always been like this solid 5 and the 2 up top. And they come to us and they went as a back 4. And I think that's probably why we started a bit sloppy, because we hadn't quite prepared for that. We sort of, said they might do that. We sort of looked at the team sheet, couldn't quite work it out on the day, and we hadn't seen them. And they went to this back 4, and it probably took us a bit of time to adjust, because we were sort of set up to go play quite high and wide. We had Temi and Lamar that we asked to go and play really high, and then all of a sudden they had extra midfielders in there that we hadn't sort of accustomed for. So I think that took us 10 minutes to adjust and get used to what they were doing. I think that played into our hands in the long run, because I felt they were a threat in a 5, because they were solid on our pitch. They were hard to break down. A lot of their goals in the competition and in their pre-season run had come from their wing backs. Wing back, one crossing, one finishing at the back post, and that was a real threat of theirs. And so I think that took us a bit of time to adjust to that, to their setup and their shape. So I think that was key for us. And once I think we did adjust, I think that's when we started to take a bit of control, and that's when we started to get a few more balls in the box and a bit more pressure. I think we had a couple of headers that went over the bar before the sort of first goal, and then I was really pleased with the first goal, because we'd worked on, it was a throw on that had come together from, I think it was Nathan and Blanchy on the day. I think it was Blanchy, and we went to work the line and set it back to Nathan, and we just said, look, don't turn down any crosses, and he stuck it in with his left foot, and already sort of missed the header, and it's come off the lad's leg, isn't it? So I was pleased with that. We'd sort of worked on that, and that was probably something we'd worked on the season before, and it paid off in this season with the boys that Nathan and Blanchy were with us the season before. So that was pleasing to get back into the game with that.
Danny, to jump in very quickly, mate, it's not often I get to see a training session just before a main event like that, right? But obviously I'm trying to keep an eye on all the ones with this one, because I'm sure opportunities will come up to say this next week. But I watched the training session you've done prior to that game, and that thing you just mentioned there about don't waste any opportunities to put a cross in the box. I remember you making sure that was explicit. And there was a lot of opportunities where they messed around with the ball, and you was doing the session like where you're setting these things up and saying to them, the first opportunity, it goes in, no messing, goes in. And I remembered that when because Wally just missed the header and it went in off their player, didn't it? But it was a good opportunity, and it literally rung through my head again. What you said in that training session.
Yeah, like I said, it was as simple as that, and it wasn't a master plan or anything like that. Not claiming that. It was just you think pre-season. You watch you've all watched non-league football, and there's mistakes defensively all the way through the season normally that cost goals. Normally most goals come from a error or a mistake or a catalogue of mistakes, and pre-season's even worse. People are getting back in the rhythm. They're trying to find their flow, and teams don't normally crack it till Christmas defensively, and everybody works on the defensive side up to that point before you sort of crack it. And I just said to the boys, let's really make them have to clear their lines, make them have to defend their 6-yard box as often as possible, because something could happen. Could make a mistake, it could fall, and we get on a second ball, and we had attacking players, Lamar, Temi and Wally in them areas, and Blanchy and Blackie were breaking from midfield. I felt we'd score off that, and I was pleased with it. And we even worked on that moving forward to the second goal, where we had Tozan had to play left back on the day because we'd lost Fraser in pre-season. So he played left back. So we worked on that reverse ball, even checking back on his right foot and delivering a different ball in the box, and that's what led to the second goal. So it's pleasing when you talk about these things and you get rewards for them like that. And I think that shows how hard we worked in that week's build-up, trying to get ourselves ready for that. And I think it paid off in the long run. So credit to the players and to the management team as well.
Jack and Lewis, from a fan's perspective, were you happy with that first half? After Wardy got the equaliser, our performance built up really well.
Yeah, we needed to settle the nerves. Like I was going to say a minute ago, obviously it's quite contradictory what we're saying. Obviously, a couple of episodes ago, Euan said how important the first goal was against Leamington, whereas this one, the first goal actually helped us concentrate. And once you got them first 5 minutes out of the way, I think it was really professional. I didn't feel under threat. We've already said it. We didn't feel under threat. I think there was a point in the first half where I did get a little bit worried that we may come to regret it, because as Scopes said, we had a couple of headers go over the bar. I think Temi got in a really good position and the ball couldn't get out of his feet. It just got to a point where he thought, we've got it, it's going to happen, but are we going to come to regret it? And then obviously, yeah, we popped up with a goal, 5-6 minutes before half time. I think that's really key, because you're going into, you're playing a 45-minute football match for a place at Wembley, you know, and I felt we had the ascendancy. Even though we weren't as fit because of our pre-season schedule, I thought we'd have the legs on them after watching that first 45. And yeah, I think apart from going one down, it almost went to plan that, you know, you kept yourself in the game, you settled the nerves, and there was no nerves in the end, were there? I don't think. Obviously, Scopes can back it from the management point of view. I didn't feel nerves. It didn't look like there were nerves. And yeah, it was. I was very happy, if I'm honest. But considering it was 1-1, I'd have loved it to have been 3-4-0. Let's be realistic, but it's never going to happen. You're never going to get it. So yeah, I was happy.
Yeah, I just before the game, I probably felt that it was a strange situation, really. Like, obviously, the fact there was no people there and that, and the way it was thrown up and that. But I've never really, I don't know, I didn't have the normal feeling I'd feel for a game of that magnitude, put it that way. So during the game, although I felt like we was going to get the result, yeah, I don't know, it felt a bit weird until the latter stages. In particular when George Alexander missed his opportunity to make it a comfortable ride home. Apart from that, up to that stage, I think I was quite relaxed in watching what I was watching. I felt like we was going to eventually take control of it, almost inevitably for some reason. And it's quite rare that I feel that way during a game, especially one that's quite like, again, bottom line finishing, like literally quite close game, if you like, by the naked eye. But yeah.
I will add, what I forgot to mention, I did have 2 hours sleep Friday night, so the nerves were 100% there. I couldn't sleep Friday night, so that's really. It is only when the game started I started to breathe a bit easier. I must admit.
Yeah, I remember going in at half time. I remember scoring and feeling, yeah, that's good. You know, we're back on level term, perfect. You know, we've got this second half. And I remember saying to the boys at half time that I think that's the best they've probably got. I couldn't see how they were going to get better maybe in second half. That's probably the best they could maybe play at this stage of the where the tie was in a pre-season game. And I didn't think they had much off the bench like to change anything really. I think the only threat, and we said this to the boys, the only threat I felt they had, that they were going to get bigger as a team. Their bench was quite big. They had a big forward on the bench, big centre half on the bench. And you looked at our bench on the day, we probably, when we had to make subs, because you would have to, because expecting boys to get through 90 minutes was going to be challenging and fresh legs was going to be important, and said that, you know, I think that's the best they can play. I think if we can up it a little bit and keep doing what we're doing, I think we can go on and win this. And the challenge was when the subs happened and to make sure that we didn't make our subs too early and become smaller, because if we'd have scored and chasing the game a little bit, they were chasing the game. They were going to get a big threat. And I don't think they made the subs I quite expected them to make. And I think the biggest disappointment for me on their behalf was, or a good thing for me, their disappointment was, I think once we did score that second goal and went 2-1, I don't think they really had a go at us. And whether that was a consequence of it being early and they didn't have the legs to do that, or whether they just didn't have the players to affect us. But I didn't feel like they, you know, in a game of that magnitude, you'd expect when you go 2-1, we'd be a bit nervous, go on the back foot, which I think we did a little bit. You'd think they'd come and have a go at you, wouldn't you? And I don't think they did. I really expected them to be going really physical, really aggressive, you know, put loads of balls in our box and try and make something happen. And I don't think they did. And I think they probably regret that now. I think if they look back at the game, they probably regret maybe not, whether they couldn't, like I say, didn't have the energy to do that, but they didn't really put us under a load of pressure. And, you know, like I say, I think that's why we were comfortable, and then we got the goal and could have had a couple more, couldn't we? I think on the break with, I think, Temi at the bar before we scored, and then I think George had a chance, didn't he? 1v1, kicked it straight at the keeper. So I think they'd probably be disappointed in that, and I felt that was their probably only opportunity of maybe winning it second half if that was the case.
It done us a favour, Dan, because they put their centre half up front, didn't he? And he looked like a rugby player. And that's no disrespect. He was good at his job at centre half because he had Wally pretty much sorted the game, didn't he? Apart from the goal, he had him pretty much sorted. But they put him up front. He looked like the rabbit headlights. He didn't know what to do, and it done us a favour, didn't it? Normally he's chucked the centre half up front. We've done it with Minchell before and Kingy in the past. Causes issues, doesn't it? I don't think he causes an issue going up there.
Yeah, they had another big lad on the bench. His name's gone out of my head, but good 6'3", 6'4". You know, real big lad. And he'd come on. I think they stuck him in midfield, and he was trying to get on the ball and make things happen. Well, you know, tactically, I just felt they should have probably just thrown him forward a little bit and put us under pressure, because I honestly believe they'd have probably put us under pressure where we were probably at as a team. We might have probably conceded. We'd have probably made, you know, a mistake would have happened like it did their end. So I think they probably missed a trick there. But you mentioned about the centre half. I watched him in the game, and he looked about 56, and I looked at the profile. He was like 26 when he McClone. But
real round and half he had, mate. I tell you,
real tough character, and he was in the game. He left a few feet in, he left a few elbows in, and I couldn't wait for that battle as well. I thought, that'd be a real good battle, and I thought he'd like to play against Wally. I think probably the team we had in the semi-final with Dakari and Kit and a bit more pace around him, I think we'd caused him more problems. I think Wally probably played into his hands who he wanted to play against, but I think he tried to be really aggressive with Wally, and I think he come off second best most of the day, didn't he? I think Wally sort of get hold of him and held him where he wanted to put him most of the time, and he dragged him into the box, had a fight with him, and then that's how the goal come about, didn't it? So Wally took him in there and got his goal because he was getting over tight. So but that was a real good battle on the day, and I think that was pivotal. But we won that battle, and that was pivotal for us as well.
He was your typical northern centre half, wasn't he? From the 2000s. You knew he's in for a battle. He'd never outplay you, but he's going to battle, and he's going to give you everything as a manager, wouldn't he?
I remember the game they played. I think it's Bedford. I think it was, and the winger was real lively for Bedford. And they beat them on the day. They annihilated them. They beat Halesowen. Halesowen were really poor, I felt, on the day, and he was losing his cool, McClone, and the winger was causing loads of trouble, like, ripping people apart. And then he played a little 1-2, and everyone was looking at the ball, and I kept an eye on him, and he just left an elbow right in his forearm, right in his face. Took him, wiped him out, got away with it, and I sort of realised what type of player he was, and that he was going to be that type of player on the day. And I felt he would try and fight with Wally, and I think if you try and fight with Wally, and Wally being big and physical and a strong character as well, that suits his game. And I think that's probably a mistake they tried to make, and they almost left them 1v1. I think there was loads of situations they were just 1v1, and they were relying on him beating Wally in a battle, and I think Wally got the better of him on the day. So as I said, that helped us get a platform up the pitch a little bit when we got the ball up there.